call the School District of North Fond du Lac's board meeting to order Monday, March 23rd, 2015 at 7 p.m. Next item on the agenda is roll call.
Chisholm?
Here.
Duffy?
Here.
Goldowski?
Here.
Hawk here, and Pilat.
Here.
And quorum.
Next item on the agenda is report of public notice. Mr. Salem.
Thank you, Mr. Duffy. Public notices were posted in the school district office, at US Bank, and also at the Village Municipal Building. Also, they were mailed to the Fond du Lac Reporter, KFIZ 107.1, and also WFDL Radio on Friday, March 20th.
Excellent. Please stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on our agenda is approval of minutes. Board members have any noted changes? Okay, seeing none, we will approve the minutes as presented. Next item is treasurer's report. Mr. Chisholm. Mr. Duffy.
Cash on hand balance starting February 23rd, $149,317.62. Receipts for the same period, $1,580,971.64. Total expenditures for the period, $1,328,687.90, leaving a cash on hand balance as of March 23rd, $252,283.74. Attached two-year award package for transactions and pre-approved checks and board meeting approval checks to the total of $1,328,460.46, which I present to the board for board action.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pilat. Questions? Mr.
I
Chisholm?
have one. What is the Kaiser project, or is that's in, what is that all about? I don't know what that is.
The Kaiser project?
Well, it's 40881 on the entry. I just don't, like plumbing parts, wire, Kaiser project.
Oh, Tom Kaiser. He's our
Oh.
teacher in the,
Oh,
yeah, he's a
okay.
teacher in the
All
Meadows,
right.
and also like that.
Kaiser
Thinking
Project.
Kaiser project, could that be a new like online learning system? Maybe Operation Hell? I'm not sure, the Kaiser project. Or is that a band from the 80s coming back? Is it-
Thank
yeah,
you.
Yep, the Kaiser project, there we go.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, roll call.
Duffy?
Yes.
Pilat?
Yes.
Chisholm?
Yes.
Goldowski?
Yes.
And Hawk, yes. Motion carried.
All right, next item on our agenda is clerk's report. Mr. Hawk.
The donations received this month include a $2,500 donation from Butch and Vicky Krug for Barry saxophone, $100 from Ignesian Healthcare for Child Development Days, and also $100 from BCI Burke for Child Development Days, $25 from Culver's of Fond du Lac for the robotics team, and a $200 donation for Child Development Days from the Service League of Fond du Lac.
Nice. Thank you. Moving on, next item is student council report. Mr. Max.
Currently, I don't have too much for any of you. It's kind of our dead season. We're just planning for family night on April 15th. We're just working on that, getting donations for our raffle and all the other various plannings. Otherwise, that's about it for you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is citizens input. I'll open up citizens input at 7:04. Any citizen wishing to be heard? Any citizen wishing to be heard? And one final time, and any citizen wishing to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close the citizens input at 7:05. Next item is superintendent's report, Mr. Salem.
Thank you, Mr. Duffy. Quite a few things to recognize tonight and to celebrate. You're going to see, first we're going to talk about a recognition of our Winter All Conference athletes. Then we have our solo ensemble recognition. No surprise performance yet. We're going to wait till after state, so we'll hold off on that one. And we have a few representatives also out there that will get to meet, hear a little bit about their performances and how they'll be representing us at UW Oshkosh. Also, so first I'll start with the recognition of all conference athletes. You'll also find in your reports that we have summaries from our conferences on wrestling, basketball, boys and girls. I think in both, I think in all of them, we've continued to show improvement and continue to grow. I know that right now we have out in the crowd, we have one student that showed up. I want to talk about Tyler in a second here. But before I go Tyler, I'll just go over the other ones that also earned recognition. One in particular, Brooke Scott, first team, and she was a unanimous selection, and she will also be playing for, I believe it's the South All-Stars. That Lisa Immel and Gary Keel is going to be assisting, but she was selected to play for the South All-Stars. So, and she was a couple, I think it was 4 or 5 girls away from qualified for the state three-point challenge. So, congratulations to Brooke. And then you can see that Noah and Abe Giebel, the Giebel family did well this year. Riley Benke and Zach Choten, Austin Hernandez also did well for our wrestling program. And then Sarah Logterman. The wrestlers I will invite back because unbeknownst to me, we didn't communicate they are having their banquet tonight. So I will invite them back in April to be recognized. So I want to thank Coach Keel, I want to thank Coach Saberlick, I want to thank Coach Forsyth for what they're doing with our kids. It's pretty exciting. I think the future of our athletics are strong. We had some bumps in the road in different sports here and there. But what I want to do right now is quickly, if we would, honor Tyler. So Tyler, if you'd stand up for a second. And so let Tyler kill. Now, stay standing for a second. And Mr. Duffy, if you want to add anything or if I need any more, let me know. Tyler started from, I remember a speech that Coach Saberlick said at the beginning of the year about basketball and about our team. Tyler is the kind of person who leads by example. Tyler is the kind of person who understands that sometimes your will overcome any of your adversities. I really believe that with Tyler, if it wasn't for him, as many of you know, our boys basketball programs had some bumps in the roads in the past couple of years. But Tyler has taken it upon himself to not only get better and become and earn a second team all-conference, and we're talking a loaded flyweight conference. To get on that second team was a big deal. And I know that his talent proved that he earned that. But I would say that Tyler is more of a first team, if not all-conference, in what he's done in leadership for his team and how he's taken it upon himself to say, regardless of what's going on, regardless of who's out there, I'm going to do the best I can and lead by example. I remember one time after Tyler got a little frustrated in the game, he got a technical, and I don't know if he should have gotten it or not. I was sitting at the music table, and I think he did get the right call there. But anyways, but what Tyler did, it wasn't that he had that call. It wasn't anything like that. What he did is after the game, I went and talked to him, and I saw him, and he was emotionally torn up. And I said, "What's going on?" He goes, I should have kept myself together more. I should have realized some things. And I'll tell you what he's gone through and how he's continued to fight and scrap, and his life, I told him before, because of this past years, I'd much rather have the season and the success with Tyler and the hard work he put in than if we would have won championships and went to state. Because he's really done a great job. I'm really glad he came here. Coach Duffy, you got anything else?
It's not the measurement of wins and losses. I know that's what everyone looks at, but as Coach Saberlick said about Ty, it's, how successful he is in Ty's moving on into his college profession and playing basketball, fortunate for himself, and he's worked hard. I know Ty for about 10 years and coached him for 10 years to see the amount of effort and time he's put into himself to improve himself, not only on the court, but off the court as a leader, a silent leader. I know we always talk about him, we see him talking all the time, but when we go on the court and want to tell him to talk, he wouldn't do that. But he led by example, absolutely right. Ty's going to be very successful in life, just knowing him, seeing him growing up and knowing his work ethic. He's going to be very successful and represent the district well, even after he graduates here.
So thank you very much. You want to add anything? You want to add anything?
He's not going to. He's not going to say anything.
All right, and now this is going to be kind of an introduction. We're going to see where this all leads to us. Normally we would have waited for our state competition solo ensemble qualifiers, but I thought we'd invite them now, and then we'll see what kind of happens, and maybe in April, May, we'll invite some back to kind of play some of the tunes that they did. So we do have, it looks like a pretty good smattering of both vocal and instrumental. So if you please just stand up and just tell them your name and what you're involved in and kind of the pieces and what you're going to state for. Yeah, we'll start in the back. You guys all sit down. Everybody's done. Yeah.
I'm Kira Jacobs, and I'm going to state for two of my pieces, my soprano and alto duet with Brittany Neese, and my alto musical theater solo.
Cool. And what's a music theater solo? What's that?
It's I sang "Don't Rain on My Parade" from the musical Funny Girl. You know what that is? Okay.
Very good. Very good. Go ahead. Were you at state last year also?
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, good luck. Thank you for coming. Come here, Mike.
I'm Chad Veramonte. I qualified for state with the jazz band, the saxophone choir, and with my alto saxophone solo.
Excellent. Were you there last year?
No.
No. So you're in three pieces. So that's quite a bit of playing to go, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Excited. Well, good luck and thank you. Moving right on. Yeah.
I'm Sheldon Smith, and I'm going to state for jazz band and the saxophone choir, play baritone sax. So
Excellent. So you have two coming up, huh?
yeah,
Pretty excited. So what's a jazz band? What are you guys playing?
we're playing this song called Madrid. It's a Latin rock jazz song, and then we're also playing "Fly Me to the Moon," which is kind of like an older sax song, or older blues.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you for coming and good luck.
I'm Lily Barker, and I'm going to stay with the flute choir.
All right. And what? Who's also in your choir?
Oh, jeez. Anna Veramonte, oh my gosh, Brenna Weatherby, Tessa, I can't say her last name.
Straczynski.
Yes. Me, Sammy Ball, Hunter Waller, and Shelby. Yeah, I gotta think of her name.
Excellent. Excellent. So that's quite good. And what are you guys going to be playing?
Stephen Foster. It's like 5 songs.
Excellent. Well, good luck. I want to thank all the parents at Tyler's Mom for being here. I mean all the how many countless tournaments and extra food and late nights and everything. Thank you very much. And I know you have the great thing of there's more coming up, so we'll see you around the gym. And for all the parents that are out there that support our music and arts, that's something that we hold very dear here, and we have a great music and art group, and we're going to make sure that we always hold that very highly and make sure that the board and the administration staff will continually support that, because we know kids don't come to school to learn how to read and write. That's what we have to help them learn. They come because of their passions of music, of art, of athletics. So we're going to keep that there. And for all of you parents that had a start, and I know because I have a couple that play instruments, like maybe there was a sick duck in the house, or maybe it was a little bit painful as things started. It's turned out great, and now we have state qualifying students. So to all the parents, thank you for all your support.
Could be worse, they could have taken up the bagpipe.
Oh, yeah. Anybody have any other comments?
I just wish congratulations on the people that made it to state and your basketball athleticism, and good luck at state.
All right, if you want to stay, you can. Otherwise, this is we'll have a pause if you'd like to leave and get on with your evening. Yeah, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Thank you very much.
I gotta go.
Yeah. Now we have an intimate group.
Not unless they're required to for some government class or something.
And I don't think they do that anymore, actually.
They didn't do it last year.
And Administrator Samantha's not here. She's going to Florida tomorrow on spring break, so that's where she's at. All right. Next is a letter that I've composed that I want to kind of get your input on. I know I said to the community, and I think that's something that we should do also, but I want to use this time, or this opportunity as a time to kind of read a letter and talk through some things that we have with politics going on. I was was it Wednesday? Yeah, last Wednesday I went to Brilliant and I testified at the Joint Finance Committee on the governor's budget. And as you know, this past, I would say 2 years, and probably even if we go back 4 or 5 with what's going on in politics and different things that have been brought up in the governor's budget and other different bills that have come out outside of the budget. Education has really taken center stage in many ways. And depending on what side that you're, or where you have your, I don't know, your resources, your beliefs, people are believing different things, and we're seeing a significant change in the way that our leadership in Madison is looking at public education. So I have seen, and you guys have seen this also, I'm sure, through your listservs for the school board group that emails you just like us, so you can see every day kind of what's going out there. There's been a lot of letters. There's been a lot of resolutions adopted by boards, letters that went out to communities, and I thought that would be something good. That although our community might not be the largest community, I think it's very important. Somebody had asked me, does it really matter that we're speaking up for public education? I think that's really the key thing here. It's not about putting any other groups down or saying that other people aren't important. This isn't about a referendum of what our views are on private schools or on people who want to invest in those different areas. What this is I believe, an opportunity for us to stand up and say, we believe that when our community, or when our country decided to be a republic, then that free and appropriate education, basic education of all kids became their rights. And we're seeing that really questioned a little bit. So I see what we're doing here from a political standpoint, kind of like a thank you note. And I've used this kind of analogy. If you send a thank you note, it's no big deal, right? But if you don't thank somebody, it's a huge deal. I don't know if we're really going to change the minds of our current legislators, of our current governor, of some current advocates that are looking at changing the way that we fund schools. I don't know if we're going to change their minds per se. But what I do know is that we will continue to influence and advocate for kids, and if we didn't advocate, if we don't have a voice, that void matters more, I think, than what our voice is, if that makes sense. So what I did is I went online and I looked at tons of different letters, and this letter right here, I thought twofold. Now on the agenda, I said that talk about our community. I'd like to write one for our community that kind of compose one and then kind of get your input and send that out. That also has links to legislators that they can contact, like here's Representative Stroud, Representative Goodex if you live in the town of Fond du Lac, here's Representative Thiensfeld, here's all the people that are on the Joint Finance, so they can easily link an email if they'd like to. But I think right now with the Joint Finance Committee going around, for us to send to our three legislators, because currently right now we have Senator Goodex and then Representative Stroud, which is Friendship, the town of Fond du Lac, El Dorado, and then, or not the town of Fond, the village of North Fond du Lac. Then if we look at the town of Fond du Lac, that would be Representative Thiensfeld. I think if we could get a letter out to them, and from input that I've gotten also from some of you, I think this could have a lot to say. So you'll see the letter right here, pretty much what it says. We appreciate your service to the community and reach out to ask you to stand up and advocate for our children, community, and public schools. We are dedicated to providing excellent opportunities for all of our students. It is important for the public and legislature and the governor to advocate for both policies and budgets that make sense, while also keeping the voters and all other needs of this great state in mind. This letter is to state that we believe in and what we believe in and to ask for your help. Our district supports accountability and transparency. Our current school report card system is clear and concise. It provides 5 descriptors demonstrating whether a school or district is meeting expectations or not. People know which district or schools are excelling and which are struggling. We do not believe that an A through F system would fairly represent our outstanding public schools. We advocate for accountability and believe that public monies that go to private schools should follow the same accountability and laws and procedures that the state of Wisconsin requires of public schools. Expanding the entitlement subsidy program called vouchers takes public tax dollars and sends it to private for-profit schools or religious institutions that are not held at the same high standards as public schools. Expanding vouchers will take resources away from public education. I want to stop right there, and one thing that I've heard from all the places that I've been, I don't know if we're ever going to stop vouchers from happening, and I don't even know if we should. But I think what we're looking for is changing that whole conversation to any school or anybody who takes public money would have to follow very similar rules that public schools do, i.e. tonight, public notice, i.e. open meeting records, or open meeting laws, open record laws, due process. We're going to be looking at getting a student from a private school that no longer is allowed to go to that school. They're not expelled because private schools don't expel, but yet we take. So there's due process with special education, teacher licensing. There's a reason public education costs resource, because we're held accountable, and we should be. So really what that paragraph, I think, states something that we've all talked about. This isn't just the first conversations we've had about this either. It's that, hey, I don't think we can fight and argue that parents should have choice, because that's what you hear all the time. The thing is that if you choose, and we're all paying tax money, just make sure that they have the same, that they're accountable for it, that we know that. And that's kind of what that statement is. We are also for consistent funding plan. The current budget proposes cuts categorical funding by $150 per student for 15-16, and then adds $165 per student the next year. And what that does is it causes some significant problems, and it's actually it's a contradiction to what we were told even last year. What we asked for is inflationary variables to use to maintain and grow our educational programs. We need a school finance system that is fair and equitable for all children and sustainable, so that the access to high quality instruction and programming is maintained regardless of where he or she lives. This cut in aid will result in a decrease of $183,000 in revenue coming to our district. Also, the current proposed plan to increase funding for public education goes directly to tax relief. It does not allow for us to increase our revenue caps to raise resources needed to best educate children. I think that's one of the key things, is that people are hearing there is, in the governor's proposed budget, more money, like over $300 million that's going to public education. But it's going to public education in the funding from the state, so that it reduces property taxes. So it doesn't allow us to raise more per child. So in actuality, there isn't more money going into public education, it's just changing it from being local to a little more from the state. It's all about tax savings. So, and I think that's important to understand and to realize. And then we need to retain our excellent faculty and staff. Without great teachers, Wisconsin will not have great schools. In order to recruit and retain quality faculty and staff, we believe that our teachers and other staff need to keep up with the cost of living increases at a minimum. Last year that was 1.46%. Our staffs had shouldered many financial changes in the past 5 years, including increased insurance costs, retirement cost increases, and salary freezes. Without an attractive compensation model which takes resources, we will not be able to maintain our staff without cutting programs or positions. And that's just the reality of it. And when I was at the Joint Finance Committee on Wednesday and I testified, there was a gentleman from, his name is Mr. Carlson, he's a superintendent up in northern part of Wisconsin. And he said something that really resonated with me. He said, the state, our education, the view of public education has fundamentally changed, and that's a big danger. And that fundamental change has been away from looking at education, public education as an investment, to be looking at public education as a cost. And that has caused some significant changes in the way we look at how we fund things. If something's a cost, we look to cut and we look to do different things. If we see it as an investment, we try to put more resources when we can to make it better and better and better. And I think from a standpoint that we're in the people business, as Stan Mack, Dr. Mack from Oshkosh said when I was at a different meeting with legislators, we are in a manufacturing business. It's just that our manufacturing business has one student that goes through a 14-year process. And at each point of that process, how they're taken care of, if people want to use manufacturing and business models for schools, or just as their business, I mean, if you have somebody or a machine that's not doing too well on one part, it could have a jeopardy of the whole vehicle. Now we're talking lives. So my big concern, going back to the Joint Finance Committee, and that I've seen and we've seen, is that we have less and less people going into education and less people staying in education. And what I ask you is what I asked the Joint Finance Committee 10 years ago. If your child or one of your family members said they wanted to get into public education, how would you feel about that? And then, I mean, and to be totally honest, if they said the same thing right now, how would you feel about that? You know, I mean, that's a significant change when we're looking at we want the best and the brightest to educate our kids. I had sent out that article on Finland, on equity. I mean, if you go to school in Whitefish Bay versus North Fond du Lac, you're at an inherent financial disadvantage, period. Nothing good, bad, or different, it's just the truth. There's school districts that go to referendum to go over revenue caps for operating costs, which means that they're having more money for their kids because their community can afford that. We couldn't do that in our community. So right now, and the difference with Finland is Finland was, we're looking at accountability, achievement. But if we look at equity, not saying communism and everybody's the same, but if we could get the same resources for every kid everywhere, now we'd be in business. But we haven't looked at it like that. So that's a big thing there. We ask for Governor Walker, the legislator, and the voters of Wisconsin to stand up for our greatest resource, our children. Public education is the one institution that can help guarantee the future of our great state and great republic. Please feel free to contact us if you'd like to engage in a conversation. So what I would ask is, if you want, you can, I'll get color on the front, but if you want, we can sign it and I'll send it off to our legislators. And then what I'd like to do too is craft something for our public that I get out to you in the next couple of weeks, or 3 of you at least, in the next couple of weeks that we could look at, that we could get out to our community. Any comments or ideas?
Well, yeah, this current system, I'm trying to remember now, is that something that's measuring growth, which is what we're, we want to focus on?
Mhm.
Just, create the new testing, not the.
The Badger exam, which is going to be gone.
No, the stuff.
Star testing.
Star testing.
Yep.
So that's reflected in what the current
Correct.
system is. Okay.
And that's another thing that you bring up a good point, Steve, and I'm really starting to contemplate where there's this whole thing about one test. One test. We all have to have one test. We all have to have one test. And I'm starting to think, hold on a second. Let's say DPI says you can use any one of these 5 tests. And STAR or MAPS is one of the ones that you can use. All right, if that works for us and then we report our data to DPI, great. It cuts down on all the testing and all this stuff. So I'm thinking that right now, I think public education is in a very defensive mode. And I think we have to look at and embrace some of these ideas so that they can make sense and we can move forward instead of trying to fight. Because I think we can get better, and if we embrace them, I think we can get better. But yeah, so the report cards currently, from what I understand, the Badger exam is going to be taken, but it's not going to count. That's current legislation's looking at, which then means that our report cards will not be issued next year because it wouldn't be an accurate reflection of growth or anything because it wouldn't have anything before. And I also believe at the high school you're going to have the Spire and you're going to have the ACT and ACT work keys, and that's going to be constant. That's going to be something that's constant, and I don't think that's going to change. So, yeah, there's a lot that's going on right now, and what's going on is really, as Aaron Rodgers said, RELAX, which this is a process. But the reality of it is, the 6th letter should be STRESS, because you're playing with people's lives, and you're devaluing some things by not investing in it, and questioning things without really looking into it. So that's the kind of, I think, the crisis we're at right now. I don't think the current budget's going to be there. I actually predict that we'll get that $150 back. And I also actually predict that from what the senators and our legislators are hearing, is they're going to say, you know what, there is new money here, and we have to allow locals to hopefully, decide if they want to invest that. So we're far from over. But I just think that if we don't, I think it'd be very important to say something. I don't know if we're going to change the tide, but at least our voice can be heard, and it's better than avoid.
Well, as you hit it before too, is this is an important letter. You're not going to change their mind. What we need to do is get to the community, arm them with the information they need, and that's how you're going to make a change. I mean, give the community the information they need, let them decide if this is not good for them, which you said this public school system is on the defense because it's under attack. I mean, and we've got to, I think that's the only way we can make a change. So I like the letter. I think a good one to the public too would be good.
Okay.
When it gets to the paper and
I think the model from the public one is I've got Wauwatosa, Phil Ertl, Dr. Ertl has something, and what I can do is I'll get that crafted this week, get it out, and kind of get your opinions back, and then we can get something out.
But you talk about not getting any change, but we're not going to get any wholesale change immediately, but there's going to change already. Aren't the senators, or the senators in the Senate pushing back on this A to F thing, and that if they're not going to go for it, then it's going to fall by the wayside too. So then that came about because of pressures and things.
Yep.
And I think, just personal opinion too, I think they're starting to feel their oats a little bit. They're having a little more independent thinking rather than just, nose to what the governor tells them to do. Now that he's off and about and has interest in other things.
Different job, you think?
Yeah, that's fine. But anyway, so I think there's some cracks and some opportunities too. And so this stuff I think does help in the public and let these guys hear from everybody. So I like the letter too.
All right. So then what, if you guys don't mind, just sign, if you want, just sign a couple pages, and then what I'll do is I'll print this in color. So just like a couple of these ones right here. just sign them, and then I'll print a few in color, but probably I would say, let's see, we have 4, then we'll go with Schrod, Steensfeld, Goodex, so that's 3, and then we'll keep 1. So 4 of these signature pages, there you go, Pete's got one started, there's another one. And then what I'll do is I'll just run the front in color, we'll be good to go. And then what I'll do is I'll craft a state one, or a local one, that will get out with our alert system, and go from there.
Private and religious institutions, same thing? I mean, are we-
No, because you have Milwaukee University School, you have some
Okay.
private schools, there's very few, but there are some non-religious private schools, but the most of them are parochial. So,
I saw Mr. Seasfeld today at the STEM Academy. I was working there, and he was giving me a tour with a Democrat. I looked her up here, Hesselbein, Diane Hesselbein, a Democratic Assemblywoman. They were learning, I guess, which is good to see that they're out. And,
Is there an all?
This form, all right, so I'll get that rocking and rolling, and this process is going. And then you guys saw, I'll go to the 4th, and I wanted to lighten it up a little bit with this week. Did you watch that video?
Yeah.
Did you see that? Isn't that pretty good?
I saw it.
Yeah, the one with the dancing, and I came in a little hot. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because they don't understand. The legislators don't understand what we've already done with healthcare and a lot of stuff already. That there's just this assumption, you should. It's I go back to that we have a 3rd grade. The governor wanted to get a 3rd grade reading task force because he thought it was important that kids should learn how to read at 3rd grade. We all thought that, and we've already been doing that. So it's just one of those things to remind. So, and if you guys have any ideas or anything, just send me those. Send me an article or a link or something, and I'll craft one so that every week they get something, all the time. So, and it's not a complaint thing, but an education thing, so that maybe resonates. All right, next we'll talk about the election. All right, so here we go, the election. We've got Mr. Hawk, saw the ballot. It's got Mr. Hawk's name, and then it's got blank spots underneath it.
I had to do a cell job on my son who was voting absentee the other day before he went back to school. He wanted to know some things that I was going to do for him before he including something he's been on me for years about fixing up the gym floor with some better graphics and something. I said, well, if you vote for me, I'll bring it up. I'm not going to promise
All right, and it's been brought up.
Yeah,
It's been brought up. Cool. Done. So here's the next part. Since we have nobody who has voiced an opinion that they're going to be running publicly, there could very well be some people running out there. So what I would say is when you go out in the community, if now it's all just word of mouth, write-in ones, whoever gets the most write-in votes, and we can verify they live here. So it's not like a Mickey Mouse thing, or if Aaron Rodgers he doesn't live here. But whoever gets votes, what we then do is go down the line and say, would you like this position? Would you like the position? Start with who's ever got the most all the way down. So if there is somebody out there and somebody wants to run, this is an opportunity, okay? So hopefully with Steve's name on there, should garner, I think, some votes, so that should be pretty good.
I would hope so.
Yep. And then a write-in. So that's something that, just when you go back home and in your community, just I don't know, if 10, 15, who knows? You don't know. So that's that. Now the second part is,
Before you get on, let me ask this. So if no one declares their intent to run as a write-in, what does that prevent them from doing?
nothing. Well, they can't put up signs.
Oh, so that's the only reason for registering?
Well, and they shouldn't be advocating like, yeah, no, vote for me, I'm gonna really run for this. No, vote for me, I'm gonna run for this. That's something they shouldn't be doing. So then they should, if they're going to do that, they should have voiced themselves, so. But once again, who knows? So, but I think there are some people interested, you just gotta find out in the community, and it's gonna be grassroots, baby. So,
And then each of the valid people who get write-in votes would decline the position, then it goes to appoint.
yep, and what we would do is we would do kind of what I'm gonna talk about next with our vice president that's got a pending move out to maybe a quarter of a mile outside of the district. And I think it was too late to annex that land, so we'll maybe look at that next year, then he can run again in the next few years. Yeah, so. So with Ryan, as many of you know, that Ryan is looking for his family, that they found a really nice piece of property. They're gonna be moving north, just over into Winnebago County. So it's just, we're talking, it's close, but it's still out of the district. And with our new board policy, which is similar to our old one, that does have a time limit on, but I think we have a little bit of some leeway. Ryan is not officially resigning right now, okay? Because he's not gone. And plus, I don't even know if he has to resign. As you can see, one of the reasons, or one way that they would no longer be a board member is if they don't any longer live in our district, okay? Then also in our new policy, it says within 30 days, which is a little bit problematic with May. Well, my recommendation would be this: with Ryan moving out of the district, if that all comes through, so we're gonna celebrate him tonight and act like this is his last meeting, but nothing is ever done until it's done. And then when Ryan would move, that would open up another one. That position would not be filled by any of the vote that we have. That position, you were elected last year, correct?
No.
2 years.
I'm up next for election.
All right, so what would happen then is my recommendation is, in April, when we have when we have Steve and whoever else, board members, when we have our 2 board members with Pete, or with Pete and Vicky, then what we would do with those 4, figure out our officers, well, that all works, and then at that time, I would recommend that we start to follow our board policy and go and promote and advertise that there's an opening board position. And instead of 30 days, since we have that May one, which is 15 days after, like May 15th, it's right in the middle of May, so that we can issue contracts, I would recommend, and I think we have a little bit of leeway unless somebody would tell us different, that in board, you can change the policies for emergency procedures. What I would recommend that we would advertise that position after the April meeting. That way we would have the 2 other board members along with Pete and Vicky, so that then we would get the people, and then at the May board, or at the June board meeting, we could invite the people that had applied. And also, if nobody accepts the position from the people who get written in, then we would appoint 2 people at our June meeting. The one that we would appoint would fill in Ryan's position, which means they'd fill in, and then if they would want to, they would have to run next year again. And the other one would be somebody that would be appointed for a 3-year term. So the board then could decide. I don't know. I have a feeling that there's some people who are, if they get written in enough and they got the top votes, that they would probably say they do it. I'm guessing so. But my recommendation with Ryan's position is we wait, be pragmatic about it. First really day that we know officially would be when he wouldn't be coming to that April board meeting. Where at that time then, what we would do is that would be an open position. I'll even put on there probably that Ryan Pilat resigns. I don't even know if we have to, but I think it'd be good that it's in the notes and everything like that, because he moved out. Then that would start a process where we would advertise a position, and what would that be? That would be then in June, so we'd have like 45 days, and we could fill it in June. What do you think about that?
Sounds good.
We're okay with moving that back instead of trying to ramp things in tight? Okay, cool. All right. Committee updates, just really quick. We're rocking and rolling. That facility planning committee, I think, is going well. We have a really diverse group on there. And you can go to the website and see all that information. Also, we're going to have on Monday the 13th, so hopefully our new board member will also come to this. This is going to be a great opportunity to learn Maria, and hopefully if we need them, other people will come, and they're going to facilitate. It's like a board game. And they'll tell you, even if you're no longer knowing if you're on board, you can come because you can learn about how school is financed. So that's part of the group, so that we can learn a little bit about the financing part of it. And Chuck McCourt, I mean, there's some real interesting cats on that group. And they bring a lot of great, from Friendship, from the town, from the village, they bring a lot of good perspective. So I'm really excited about that group as we move forward. We're also going to then, I believe in May, or in April, we're gonna have to see, I might have to change the date on that so we can have more time. The group wanted to do a building tour, so they could see some of these things. And I have it currently scheduled at the 27th, April the 27th, and then we have a board meeting. I don't know if 2 hours is going to be enough for that. So I think what we'll do is we'll reschedule that at a different time later that's more conducive for people, and then go from there. But that's going to be, so as far as the facilities planning, we had Bray, we had Clint from Bray come and explain everything, and we had a really good meeting there. What'd you say?
Yeah.
A lot of great questions. This is going to be the next part, understanding the finance part. Then we're going to do a tour, and I am going to change that, I think, to the beginning of May, just so we have a little bit more time. It might be 5 to whenever it's done, we'll find out a date on that. And then we're gonna see where that leads out. The whole idea that if we were gonna do anything that would ask for more resources or to look at a referenda type of thing, that would all be started to look at in the fall and in the spring, so that it would be, anything that would be referendum or looking at some large deal would be an election that we would recommend that happens during the president election, which is 2016? 16. All right. Anybody have any questions about that committee? All right, the other committee is pretty exciting too, and this really doesn't, I don't know the role that we're gonna have with the district, but it's, right now we have a group of people working on the bylaws, and it's gonna be a 501c3. We'll get a whole number, it's gonna be a nonprofit, that's gonna be Oriole Nation Booster Club, that's gonna look at athletics, the arts, and it's got a lot of good movement. Dave, you've been to some meetings. I've been there, anybody else? Okay, it's been going really well. We have all that weekend, we're all in. We've got some great things going out there. I think we're gonna be able to raise some really big money. They're gonna take over the Oriole Open. And we got Dawn Namuth. I don't know if you know Dawn from the basketball. I can do a great job at concessions, Namuth. She's gonna be taking over all concessions for next year for our school district and organizing everything. And then different groups will be working them. So I was really excited about how people really came in, and there's one thing that we've said over and over. Let's leave our egos at the door and try to work together. And I really think it's gonna be going pretty well. I thought, what do you think,
I
Dave?
believe so too.
Yeah.
It was different than what we thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
Everybody's on board.
Yep. So cool. All right. Now,
What's the advantage of applying for 501c if it's an organization that already supports the school district?
there's so many things right now that, like, let's say Kohl's. Let's just take Kohl's. Kohl's has volunteers and does stuff, but if you don't have a number and you're not incorporated, so an LLC is a 501c3, you're not getting anything. Even though you're a public school, we had that when we looked at raising money for the athletic complex. There's some, you need that, and that gives you a lot more leeway. And, you know, there's audit things that go in it and stuff. And I was really excited with the music parents. We're not disbanding the music parents or touchdown club or anything. It's kind of the whole idea of pull. We're going to build this thing, and hopefully it supports everybody, including clubs and everything. And then in time, maybe the music parents, the touchdown club, you know, the soccer club says, you know, this is big and this is good enough. And they're working on developing like liaisons for each sport and kind of making sure it's equitable and fair. So in each, not just sport, but each club. So it should be pretty cool.
So they're making a board of directors
Mhm.
on this, or?
Yep. And right now we have Doug Forsyth, Joe Miramonte, Diane Mand, and one other person that's working on the bylaws. What's that? Rob Geezy, that are working on the bylaws. And then myself, Mike McDowell, Dan Hively, Matt Bertram, and Rose McCourt working on Walleye Weekend. We already got with A&W, got some fryers out there, some high-powered ones like that. And then there's some other fun things that I can't talk about right now. At least that's what Leanne Doyle from Fond du Lac Festival says. You gotta keep running wraps for a little bit. But
So you're doing what at Walleye Weekend?
we're doing boneless chicken wings.
And where, what location?
Oh,
'Cause I thought-
we have where the springs used to be, right on Oven Island. So we don't have to worry about a tent. We have that, and it's gonna be a teenager area. They're actually gonna be, our young adult area, they're actually gonna have the North Fondy Fest trailer out there. It's gonna be a stage. They're gonna have, it's gonna be called Xbox Beach, where there's gonna be a tent over a sand area that's gonna have 6 Xboxes in it, or 5, where you can play games and do some gaming. There's gonna be DJs at night that are gonna be geared towards kids. And then there's gonna be the school, the Oriole Nation Booster Club that's selling boneless wings. And then right now we got regular fries or sweet potato fries, so you can get your burger, your brat, your hamburger, your boneless wings nested, because it'll be all the fries, and you can either get them unnested or nested on the fries. Then we have some other things that we're working on. And we'll also, so all of our food, we get 100% profit.
arteries hardening already.
Yeah. But we're working on it, so it should be cool. And there could be some changes, so there's gonna be a lot, there's gonna be, the lumberjacks are gonna be there, and it's right between where you have your regular bands and then where you have volleyball and volleyball. And there's rumors that other things could be coming back there in the future, so we could be set up, and they said you make anywhere from $6,000 to $35,000 out there. As long as it doesn't rain. Yep.
So, if I'm understanding you right, the other clubs aren't dissolving, the
Nope.
current existing clubs? I thought the purpose though was to get rid of that. and
It is.
have one club.
It is, but the mindset was, let's build it and they'll come, let's do a pull instead of a push. There's one group right now, or there's two groups, I think, the music parents and Touchdown Club that have money. And there's some anxieties, well, what happens to my money? Where does that go? And I think what this club needs to prove is that it's legitimate, it's gonna serve all the needs of everybody. And I think what they'll end up doing, we're gonna also look at advertising and develop a really nice program for the winter, the fall, and the spring sports, selling advertisement. Even, we can either, it's legal by WIA to paint logos on the field. Wouldn't it be great to have the festival homecoming game with a nice festival logo right on the field? I mean, you could do those things now. Andrew Yankee was in the last meeting, he's like, all right, get those cans up, get ready to go, so. You know, and like we have a lot of fences that we can put advertisements, and we have different areas, but we want to do it all together so that we can maximize that donation and work. And the Oriole Open, I've got groups that are going to help us with that too. That should raise some money. That's still going to be working with the pool. So instead of saying, because I don't know if the district or a booster club, I don't know if anybody can come and say you're done, we're doing this. I don't think we'd ever get 100% like, hey, let's all do this together. But I think like Field of Dreams, build it and they'll come. If you approve, leave those egos out, we can generate a lot of revenue together, working together. Then a lot, you know, this nickel and dime stuff, how many cards can you buy? You know, how many candy bar sales can there be? You know, music, or how many magazines can you buy? Or, you know, so.
You don't think they'll be competing? The Touchdown Club decides they want to raise some more money for what they do, which I was a part of for football. But then, do we want to focus on ours, or are we going to focus on this one that the Oriole Nation is doing? What we have our interest here. I guess, you know, I've always had some worries about whether in the long run, everybody's going to get along and make it work.
Yep, and that's one of the neat things, is nobody says it can work. And I mean, there's just less and less people that are in these clubs doing stuff.
It's sustainability.
Yeah.
And that's what basketball's talking about, and you said football's got money, music has money, basketball has money. I mean, basketball is trying to give away money, and that's, the meetings are, we need to get rid of money, they have money, but they also see that this is a benefit to, you know, numbers are dwindling at tournaments, that you want to sustain your program, your youth program. I think it's a good thing. We'll have some drawbacks. I mean, there's going to be people who are not going to like certain things. And I think it's, you know, if we want these clubs to stick around, I think it's a good thing.
So then, is that something that with, okay, so you have your board of directors, are there going to be, I don't know what the right word is, are there going to be clubs or committees for youth basketball or
Here's what
football that will come and say, here's your budget, you have, is there going to be a budget?
There's going to be,
Or-
they're going to work on the bylaws. There's so many out there right now.
Okay.
So many out there. I think Cadot is the one they really like. There's some with parent liaisons, the coaches have to be part of it. You know, like Dawn's gonna set up all the concessions, but she's not gonna work them. You know, junior class might work some, this class, and to get away from working events while your event's going on. Like when we have a wrestling thing, you know, wrestlers get that. Now, they're gonna still do that, but they might see value in stepping back. Because I think more and more parents are saying, give me a 4-hour shift here and a 4-hour shift there and I'm done. You know, don't have kids go out and sell stuff. You know, let's figure out how we can do this. Step right up and buy some crap is what I always say, you know, but, so who knows? And if there is kickback and if it doesn't work, hey, we'll see. But I really think there's a lot of good movement and people I think will be able to participate in this easier. I don't think the recommendation of the whole group is that we don't touch youth sports. Like youth basketball, youth baseball, that's not the Oriole Nation Booster Club. That's something else. And what we need to do is, instead of those sports, because right now you have youth baseball, youth softball, youth basketball that are supporting the high school sports. It should be the other way around. Our youth program should be good, but we should have the Oriole Nation Booster Club that helps them, not vice versa, and right now we don't have that. And we want to make sure cross-country has the same opportunities to have resources as wrestling, as football. Just because football is more popular and they can raise more money for different things, you know, we want to make sure that every kid, no matter what they're in, has those opportunities. So we'll see. I've been, like Dave said, it's like pretty much they said, let's go.
Well, the people that all came to the meetings are the ones that are always involved in everything. And they're getting burned out because they can't get people to help. Like Ryan said, you know, it's less and less people at everything to work.
Yeah. We'll see.
With that club, you said like the class funds are also gonna be part of that?
Yep.
So like the juniors fund, the
Yep.
senior, everything?
Everything, we got Mr. Hively, Mr. Bertram, Ms. Mauer, they're all on this committee too.
Okay.
Because they're tired of, I mean, so you have a class advisor that you could say, okay, you're gonna need to help have the kids have great opportunities and a great year. You don't have to worry about fundraising. You just have to worry about getting kids and organizing them so they can work.
Okay.
I think we're gonna see more people enjoying being class advisors, especially the juniors. There's nothing worse than being a junior class advisor and having to do all the running around, get all the freshmen and stuff like that. We even talked about Pulse Prom. I mean, like, how much money does Pulse Prom really need? Do they need $8,000? Do they only need 3 or 4? I mean, and if we can look at that, what do you need, and can we get that money so that we don't have to continually over tap or tap into stuff? So there could be a lot of really great things that come out of this. And if we all work together, that's what our motto is, working together for the success of all. And you're right, Steve, there's some hesitation, but we'll see. Build it, and if it's honest and real, we can be on the tip of the spear for this one. See what happens. All right. Now, next we have an opportunity to say thank you to John for 9 years of service. Thank you for all that you've done, really appreciate it. John came in when I came in. It was an interesting board meeting, interesting times. But John has sat as our president for 9 years, and he's always been an advocate for kids and for staff. Sat also on our negotiations committee, and I appreciate all that you did with that. So I just want to take this time to say thank you, John, for all of your service. You'll be missed, and you made a really big difference with our board. So thank you. You don't have anything to say?
No, I just wish you well. I'm still in the district and be around, and I wish the board well and that. I'll still be around. I may get the bug again, but right now.
Special projects.
My passion right now is basketball. I mean, that's really where, I like, Aaron said it earlier, I like the way things are going. I think we're gonna make some improvement there, give that effort, even though my kids will be out. I still want to do something for the district, which I will. And it's not saying that I'm done, it's just saying I'm taking a little break and give someone else an opportunity and wish them well. And you'll hear from me. Aaron knows. I'll call him. I know his number yet, and I'll call him if I hear things. But no, it's been great. I've had an opportunity coming on here and learned a lot. There's still a lot to learn, and I wish you well. And I know that you have a lot of challenges in front of you with the state. I mean, that's everlasting with the state. They're always looking to do something. My message to them is just keep your hands off. Let the educators do what they need to do. I mean, it's nice that you said, Mr. Thiensville, they're going around, but I think they get their hands in it too much. They should have their committees. That's why you have the DPI. I mean, why do you have a department and then not listen to what their recommendations are? I'll get off my box now, but I mean, the bottom line is I think they get too involved and want to make a difference, and they have no idea what's going on. And that's one thing I've learned from here is you got to allow your administration to do things, and obviously you can do it the right way. Sometimes you're not going to agree with it, sometimes you are, but the idea is you have to work and compromise, and at the end of the day, whatever it becomes, you deal with it and move on. So I do wish all of you well, but you'll see me around. Of course, you'll see me around.
Who's going to harass Steve at the Bucks game when he shoots free throws? I mean, somebody's going to have to pick that one.
I can still send messages to him. That's awesome.
Oh, cool, but thank you. All right, and then for Ryan, rumor has it that he's going to be moving out of the district. So Ryan been very fortunate, served for 5 years. Ryan came on, was a board member. I think you were thrust right into the treasurer spot.
Yes.
Right away, and then after that served as the vice president for the past 3 years? 3 years. 3 years. And Ryan's always been an advocate for kids, an advocate for the school district, was a huge part of our policy committee, the policy committee of 2 that it turned out to be. But we got it through, and when our policies, it's so nice when somebody asks for a policy, they're not online right now, but I can just go look. And that was a huge help and a huge deal. So thank you, Ryan, for your service, and hopefully we can annex that land and see you back again soon sometime. So thank you. All right, comments?
Thank you. It's been a pleasure working on this board. It's a learning experience, to say the least. I came into this, I thought I knew about schools. I thought I knew about, how they go, and you don't know anything. It's been a pleasure working with all you guys. I haven't worked with you real close, but just, the information and seeing how you have an impact on my 3 kids is huge. And the same up here too. I'm sad to go. This is not something that we in October, at the end of October, this is not something we had in our mind, just kind of an opportunity we can't pass up. Two of my children are already school choice to this district already, we took care of that right away. So
Plus two.
yeah,
And your oldest is what position, what's Corinne getting into?
she's being an educator. You know, like Aaron said before, he asked someone 10 years ago, they say education's great. I don't think people get an education because of money or, you know, what the situation is. They want to have an impact on people's lives. And my oldest child has been going for 2 years. My middle child also has decided she wants to be an educator. Granted, she's only a sophomore, so that could change. But I just think that, you know, I see the passion of education in our family. And, you know, I don't think my school board days are done. I've got a bug for it. Just hopefully we can annex the property and it can be back for a year. I don't know what that all takes. We're going to need to talk to you about that, but. You know.
Well, look, I know there's a process,
Yeah.
you know,
So,
and I know some people in Oshkosh.
so, but well, I'm also,
Gotta get those neighbors in between the line.
well, the people in between me and the village, or in the district, I believe they all school choice to go to school here. Or have it at some point. So there's only 3 or 4 houses. But I've, you know, I'm like, I'll hopefully be on a school board, you know, because I like making a difference and getting involved. It's just such a great experience. And it's been a pleasure working with you guys. I think this is a great board. You know, we may not have always agreed on things, but I think we've always worked well together. And, you know, and it's been great to be part of something big in North Fond du Lac. I'm proud to say I live here. Even though I won't be living here anymore. But I'll be here. My kids are still going to go here. This is where my family's from. Be involved in sports and coaching out here yet. And so, like I said, like John said, you'll still see me here now. I don't know if I can come to meetings, I just can't say anything, so. Thank you guys for everything, I appreciate it. Cool. So.
All right, well, thank you. Cool, all right, next, movie theater discussion, digital projector. I will turn this over really quick if you look in your packet, or I'll put it up there. We have some data. Now, the big thing about this conversation is that in order for us to continue forward, it's getting more and more difficult to get films. Now, Pete, if you want to just tell a little bit about the history of the movie theater. I think you were here from day 1, correct?
Well, not quite day 1, but almost.
Maybe day 2 or 3.
Yeah.
He can tell you a little history about the movie theater and where we got the equipment. But the big key is that the equipment we have is 35 millimeter, and it's that, you know, movies, the cellulite, that they used to be printed on that. That's what it was. Well, now more and more and more, either there's only 1 or 2 copies per region that are printed on that, or they're not at all, and they're all digital. And digital meaning that the projectors cost along with the hardware that helps to run those movies on digital. And we're finding, like right now, we're, for the first time I can think of in my tenure, we're showing a movie that's already out on DVD, and that's Annie. Because there just isn't anything right now that we can get. So we're looking at if it's going to be a viable thing, we'd have to look at an investment, and there's a cost there, and currently that's going to be something. So Pete, if you just tell a little bit about the history, and then we can go over a couple charts, and I think we're not going to make a decision tonight, but just start talking about finding out information and how we want to go about doing this.
So the guy that had the guy that was the brainchild behind this project, who's now passed, Gary Robinson, had run a theater in earlier life, and had the idea that we could run a theater within the school. And so he poked a lot of sleeping dogs and basically got the equipment that we own today donated from a company in Minnesota. These 2 machines actually came out of a defunct theater in Stillwater, Minnesota, and were installed here. I think, Steve, you were probably on the board at the time. So there was some expenditures, there was kind of some growing pains. The idea that they had about how it was going to be run, I think wasn't really as efficient as it is today. So there's been a lot of evolution in how it's run. But it is a great outreach to the community. We get a lot of comments from people that come into the school about what a great value it is. You know, it's so nice that you can come here and bring, you know, a tribe of kids for a birthday party, and, you know, not spend an arm and a leg. So I approached we have about 500 people. Most of the advertising that we do, although Deanna Lefevre sneaks it into the paper somehow, we don't pay for any advertising in the paper. Most of the advertising gets done through an email list, which is about 500 names. So I sent a comment out to the 500 people, say, hey, what do you think if we raise the price from $3 to $5, would you stop coming? I got about 75 responses. I'm gonna say that 90% of those responses were, yeah, you know, it's been $3 for 12 years, and $5 wouldn't prevent me from coming anymore. I had a couple of miscellaneous comments which I distributed to you, some of the comments, but for the most part, people have always been very supportive of it, and so they said, you know, it's the only, some folks, it's the only reason they come into the building. You know, their kids are gone, or they don't have children in the district. It gets them into the building to see what's, you know, what their tax dollars are paid for. So the evolution of film is, if you go to you have to go to a digital platform. All of the big theaters, all the multiplexes, they've been that way for a couple of years. Our film distributor has been preaching this message for a long time, saying, you know, film is dying. It's going away, and the only reason that there's a few limited copies of the prints in the regions now is because you've got a couple of small mom and pop theaters around the countryside that are digging their heels in and says, we just can't afford to upgrade. If we have to upgrade, we're going to close, so we need to have film. And so there's been a small 20% of the theaters are still using film. But as Aaron said, it's been very difficult to try to schedule features that are out of first run at the theater before it goes to Blu-ray distribution, which is a really short period of time, which is when we try to get it.
And you've also noticed the quality has significantly gone down recently because a few films that are out there are
Shown
overutilized
to
and not
death.
clean.
Now, I gotta tell you, the SpongeBob film last weekend, I believe was a brand new print. I couldn't believe, it was pristine. It was in really great shape. Unfortunately, only 159 people came to see SpongeBob over the weekend, which really kind of surprised me. The numbers were really down.
And we got that right after, well, it was a nice weekend and a bad week.
So the issue with digital projection is, if you've been to the theater in the last couple of years, it's like your high definition TV screen at home, except it's 22 feet wide and 11 foot high. It is high def projection. It is one of these things on steroids. And it takes a dedicated server, because the film industry was really paranoid about distributing a digital copy of a film. So they wrote a protocol for how it was going to be captured on a hard drive and shown. It comes with a digital key, so even if you have a hard drive with the image of the movie, it has to go in a dedicated server that runs dedicated software. It isn't anything else like it on the planet. And then you have a digital key that unlocks it and allows you to show that movie on whatever certain day it is. So there's a server and the projector and then an audio interface to the existing audio system. So it would be those three pieces of gear.
30 to 40 and plus, and that could come down to.
Yeah, when we first started talking about this a couple of years ago, that was about 80,000. So as equipment has progressed, the price has come down. So it's an advantage in that anything that goes on the screen in the auditorium, PowerPoints, class that wants to show a movie on a Blu-ray player, obviously our projection of movies, it would look just stellar. It would look just like the image you see when you go to the movie theater. Maria and I have been talking about the Fund 80, that if it was community related, that could pay for a portion of that. And because of the rule changes, she said, well, no, but the digital server would only be for movies. It's a separate piece of gear from the projector. So we may be able to.
The digital server part.
Yeah, and you didn't have a breakdown.
I didn't have a breakdown, but I will.
I don't know what the expensive part I'm assuming the projector
Yeah.
itself is.
Well, and that's something that we have to look at, and we have to look at cost, and once again, is it something that we go out to try to fundraise for? With naming rights, if you will, is it something that we look at leasing, is it something that, you know, once we get that breakdown of price, that'll be an important part to look at.
Mhm.
So,
And then this is just really quick, if you look up here, the profit and loss, you can see that the movie theater, besides 1213, has made a modest profit throughout its year. And then if you look at here, attendance, the reason 1213 is we're down in attendance, and I don't know why that was. Maybe bad weather kept people away. Or you know what, there was one year where we just didn't have as many movies either.
we had like
Yeah.
11 one year
Yeah.
and 14 another year.
Yeah. So you can see, we've seen some consistency, and it got back more and more and more. I think our number one movie of all time was maybe like Cars or Cars 2. The non-animation one, the number one of all time was a movie called
Frozen.
Well, Frozen, was that big?
Yeah, Frozen was huge.
Yeah. But it was the Blind Side with Sandra Bullock.
It's Blindside, Planes, and Frozen. Frozen didn't even beat Planes, surprisingly.
Yeah. But the Blind Side, I think, was the biggest one ever.
Yep.
And that was over Valentine's Day.
And that was, well, it was right after a big article in the newspaper that they had written about the theater.
Yeah, and we have been absolutely hitting them, for the most part, like they get out, they're going out to DVD on Tuesday, and we're showing them Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so we got all that free advertising on TV too, so.
So is the cost of the movies going up?
We don't know, oh, for us, oh, yeah, here's how that works now too. Like, for instance, it used to be a percentage of the profit, like 25, 30, 35%. So if you did $1,000 worth, then you would pay him $350. That's up to 40 to 50%, almost like boom. Plus, a lot of times now, like for instance, we're going to get, like SpongeBob. I think SpongeBob was $350, regardless of whatever we saw.
It was a flat rate.
Flat rate, and sometimes like you get to these, they become a flat rate. Like American Sniper, looking at possibly getting that would have been $500 no matter what. So, I mean, and for, when I work with Marcus is who does our film, who does our film finding, very nice people, Bridget, who I deal with, they go out and find them, but it's just changing, and the movie houses are charging more, and, you know, but my mindset has always been, let's get whatever we can, what are we gonna do? Well, are you okay with this? Well, what if we're not? It doesn't really matter, so, it's all been about a service, I think, more than anything. If we can at least cover our costs and make a little bit, that's good. It's just that now we're looking at the equipment, and especially when we look at what our financial situations are, it makes it difficult to see how we can go about doing it.
Just one question, with the money that's been brought in previous years, does that just go into the general fund, or is it a separate account for the theater account?
The revenue,
Yes, the revenue.
it goes in a separate revenue account, but I look at it, when I look at the expenditure account, they are two separate.
They have two separate.
So,
there's-
yeah, when I do the profit and loss, I take both accounts into consideration.
So besides the initial setup, I mean, do we know how much the digital movie's gonna be and how?
It would be,
set all of that?
with the
Or
digital
will we
movie,
just
I'm
set
guessing
that?
it wouldn't be any more, it might be less. The big thing is it's all about percentage of people I see. So, I mean, we don't pay for it, it's like a rental fee. So, but you would have every movie, like for instance, we couldn't get
It was one of the Sony pictures, wasn't it?
Magic something or other.
Oh, the Alexander's
Really bad, rotten
disgusting
day.
terrible day.
They might even be lower because it'd be easier to distribute, but yeah, I don't know. Movie industry is really unique, and plus now with Netflix. And I think a lot of movie theaters are taking a hit too, you don't have the attendance that you used to have.
Can we just stream something like Netflix?
That is actually called, and we had one for that was called, what was that called? It had a real weird name.
Piracy.
No, it was called, what was that called? Not Voodoo. It was, we had,
Voodoo.
huh?
Voodoo.
No, it's a company.
Oh,
No, it's a company, remember I just said, let's not renew that, but it's a company that anything, like if you rent a movie from the whatever, you can show it.
Oh, the Swank pictures?
Swank, that's it, I knew it's Swank. It costs like $400 a year and you can show whatever you want as long as it's, whatever, swank. It's kind of, yeah, so if you got that swank, it didn't sound very appropriate, that we had an agreement with Swank, but it was still allowed us to show films.
That's a license. So the,
There was
I-
five.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you my opinion because this is kind of my interest area. It's the trend. It is, I think, a community outreach that we have. And just like we've often talked about, kids don't come here because they want to learn to read and write. We teach them that, but they come here because of other interests. This is something that attracts people to the community, and if it's one thing that I've heard over the years of people that come to the movie theater, they say, this is such a great program. And to that, I always say, this was before I was on the board, then call up your elected officials and tell them that. So I'm assuming your phone doesn't run very often. But I think it's a great program. On the other hand, Maria and I had this conversation, if we're talking about having to tighten our belt and how we're gonna make ends meet, I can't sit here as a board member and begin to justify spending money on something that's clearly not directly related to our educational efforts. So I'm really torn. Yeah, I'd love to see it, but I don't know how we justify the expense.
We're reading a book called Decisive, and I think this calls for not either or. I think this calls for and I think, this is something where I think we look into that once we get that broken down, because the hardware part of it, that Fund 80 could very be worthwhile, and that's directly community stuff like you're talking about. That wouldn't come out of anything else, and that we couldn't spend it on anything else. But the other thing is if we decide to go this route, I would highly recommend that we look at some sort of, like even what we did with Teresa Cruz with the piano. Look at something that we could raise funds, and there could be, I know there's some community groups out there that would probably be interested in, like the Fond du Lac Area Foundation, or the Kiwanis, or you look at the Sophia Foundation. There could be some groups out there that would say, you know what, we want a name associated with this. So, well, we'll get that price breakdown, and then why don't, once we do that, we'll just start to do a little bit of brainstorming, and then we'll find out about if those one hardware would qualify, and then see what that campaign would take to make happen.
Just for what it's worth, my piece of information, it might not be here if this ever comes up. I like the program. I'd really watch, in my opinion, raising the price to $5. People might say, I'll pay it. They might pay it one initial time, and then they're gone. I mean, we're not making a ton of money, even if you raise the price $2. I don't think we're gonna make a ton more money to pay for this. I think you're better off keeping the price kind of where it's at because even right now, the price where it's at, we're trending to not lose money, but the numbers keep going up, the funds keep going down. If you raise that and you get more or less people coming, that could really collapse the whole thing. Or if you're just kind of maintain it.
Plus, on some films, we pay a percentage of what we make on ticket sales, so we're not gonna realize the whole $2.
Yeah, and I don't mean, looking at the years, like, so this is more of a community building thing, this is not a money-making thing for us. So I'd try to keep it that way, and if you decide to do it, I think it's a good program, and
We have to think different, I think, on this one.
Yeah, and I think, we talked about having a budget meeting, board meeting before the next board meeting, correct?
Yeah, and we're looking at, I think when everybody gets, I think in April, maybe come like at 6 o'clock instead of 7 at April, because I want to move that facilities thing. But just have a projection, because we're working right now we should have a better idea, hopefully, of what the budget's going to be coming back to the governor once it's through the legislature. Are we getting that 150 back or not? Or is it going to be, are we going to get any additional opportunities here? What's all that stuff flushing out to be? And then we can look at, because we're looking at whittling $600,000, and my recommendation is that we're going to try to get this to zero, the best that we can to zero, because we've been budgeting, which means everything we can do to maintain programs and positions, which could be increasing in healthcare costs for all of our employees, higher deductibles, look at eliminating, like right now, technology support. We've been able to do a lot of stuff in-house, so we've been looking at different things. So we like to kind of come up with an idea of what that's all like and what it looks like, and then I think we can also maybe just have a sidebar conversation about the projector, and at that time, Pete, we should have more information.
Yeah, I think the board just needs the whole picture before you can make a decision on just one item.
So there's a digital, there's a server, there's a projector, and there's
Audio mixer.
Audio interface. We would use the existing audio system that's in, and I'd be more than happy to show anyone the equipment room and how we do things today. And I'm assuming it's still the same, but when we started this project 12 years ago, it was the only 35mm motion picture operation in a high school in the country.
Budget, and it's kind of like our budget, David. Remember, we had that conversation, that guy wanted to raise money to put in the Forest Mall. And you said right off the bat, you were right. I mean, because it's just a tough one to make money to do that. I got an idea about movie. We could I think there could be a really cool like capital campaign with like movie poster idea with different companies, and they could have, I think we could figure something out. But let's get those numbers, because that community, that Fund 80 could help us possibly do 2 of those pieces, just minus a projector, which then could maybe make it a more doable thing.
I just have a stupid question. So where does all the profit go that you've made? Because I'm looking at this, you have about $7,000 profit in the past 5 years. Where does all the profit go?
It goes
Offset
into
other
the general
expenses.
fund.
Just goes into
General
general
funds.
fund?
Yeah, yeah, because sometimes, like, for instance, our maintenance budget is over right now.
Mhm.
Sometimes we look at the high school or middle school, or something pops up, we need more textbooks or something, so it all kind of,
Plus, I think if you have to look, and this is a conversation that we've had recently, there's a lot of money that's gone into the theater just to maintain the lighting equipment. We've had the soundboard repaired, and we have a lighting system repaired, and so there's other repair costs. Every single lamp, when you go on the stage and look up, every single lamp that you see lit is a $35 light bulb.
on that, I just throw this out there, I'm on the Children's Museum Board for the next couple months, and then my term's up, but did you hear about Edgewood Community Church is proposing to build a new church?
They have an option on the outlot.
Yeah, right on the corner of Scott and Main.
That's a long-term plan.
You have some land, maybe we can offset some of these costs here and have a new church. With some land, we'll have to think about it. Entrepreneurial. All right, so we'll go from there, and when we get that information, we'll talk more about it in the next month or so, but I think we could come up with, I think, maybe a plan once we find out the breakdown stuff. All right, next, and I want to thank Pete, also, I know you're part of also the movie.
Well, not so much anymore.
Projector, but you did.
Yeah.
But I also want to thank Pete before, and his volunteerism now with the movie theater and the stage, helping out in so many different areas. With the youth programs, with the church, with the YMCA, the gymnastic things, which I doubt will ever have that many people on this campus again, unless they come back here again. I just want to thank Pete. He does a great job, and he really is always here to help out, and he just does awesome. So thank you very much, Pete. For all your help. All right. Oriole Fitness Center, looking at doing a 2-month test, still waiting for somebody to apply, haven't had anybody apply, and if we don't get anybody to apply, then we're not gonna rock and roll with it, so that's still out there, so.
How are we getting the word out or advertising?
We put it out internally, and then what I'm gonna do now is just put it in the paper. Tomorrow I'm going on the radio with Wade Bates, so KFIZ will have it, and then we'll get it out there. And I also will, I'll put some flyers and stuff at like PDQ and that. And I think this next, for the first time, we want to see, kind of hope not having everybody come, see how it all works, and if it does work, then maybe we'll start it again in the fall. Maybe it might just be a winter thing. We're going to do it over summer, but I don't think that's going to work just because we have cleaning and all that kind of stuff. So I think the 2 months, we'll see people that come in. Now, anybody who's an employee already or family doesn't have to pay. It's just going to be for any community member that isn't. So,
Aaron, question on this. We're starting this and it runs really well. Now you talk about the winter months, or even in the fall, you're gonna have volleyball going on, you're gonna have basketball going on. Personally, from a basketball standpoint, I don't want members up there, watching, doing that. It's not gonna conflict, because you're gonna have sports going on the court, and then you're gonna have this potentially open. Is that a consideration?
this could actually only go for 2 months and be done. The implications of how it works, it sounds great. We have all this equipment, good idea. Is it really gonna work? Are we gonna be able to staff it? Are people gonna wanna come and do it? I don't know. Maybe it's more of maybe we evolve it into like a mall walking culture down here. We have spin bikes, we might do some classes. This is just to start to see how it works, and then we can evolve from there.
Any merit in posting it at the Y? Athletic kinds of people in there?
Oh, to help run it?
No, just to try to attract somebody to the.
Oh, sure, hey, why can we put up some flyers in your building to take away some of your business? I'm sure, well, I won't ask them. I'll just go in there and then Don can tell me to take them down Millwich later on. Yeah.
There's been a couple people that Chris has known and Bobby that may be coming forward that may be interested
Cool.
in the position. So it's been word of mouth, you know, good guys that may consider the position.
Well, if they do get that in, because if we want to open this, we got to get the people trained and ready.
They were told the timeline of that, so.
Perfect.
Well, sending something home in backpacks for, you know, younger kids, younger parents that might be more interested in being active if they
Yeah.
see it, if they look in the backpacks at night, I don't know.
Hey, Melanie, can we stick these in the backpacks?
Sure.
All right. They're going home this
And
week.
then we can't be accused of not getting the word out, you know, I think if we do some of these things, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yep.
Put it on the app announcement?
You bet. We'll social media it like crazy. Cool.
Website.
Website, everything. Cool. All right. Let's see, anything else that you can think of? Future board, we're gonna be, I think, ingrained in budget stuff. Remember, we have the May meeting is the second Monday, and those contracts will be on. That tends to be a little bit of a heavier one, so we'll figure all that out. Anything you can think of? All right. Where are you going to school next year, Damien?
I'm not sure. The original plan was Air Force, but Mom's kind of against it, so
Well, she doesn't have to go with you, does she? Or is it like a package
she
deal?
doesn't, but she doesn't like the idea, so I don't know. I might still do it. I might take a semester off and then go to school. As of right now, there's no way I can get everything and I need to go to school in fall, so
Okay. Maybe you can run a fitness center.
maybe.
All right, just throwing it out there. Cool. Because you're here still through May. So
Yes.
May will be your last one. Okay. Right?
Yep.
Good. Okay. Administrative team reports, any questions of the folk? All right, thank you guys very much. And I also want to thank Melanie for leading this, but all of the administrators for the amount of work and time that they're putting in evaluation. The year ends for the kids in June, but as far as evaluations and everything for contracts and everything, a lot of that's heating up and getting done the next month. So I appreciate all you guys are doing, thank you. All right. And then just another announcement on the April 1st, this is no fooling. The AC, Association of Commerce, having their coffee mixer down at the Food for Thought Cafe. Jana Wiegand's gonna be hosting it with Jill, so that's over spring break. And so we'll be down there, and who knows how many different communities. I've attended one before, so who knows? It could, anybody who's a member of the AC will get this information, then they'll come. So just, you guys are all invited. Anything else? All right?
Can you send us something on that as a reminder?
Yep, you bet I will. You bet I will.
All right, moving on, under new business, first item is discuss and consider wrestling co-op, the St. Mary Springs Academy for the 2015 and 16 and 2016 and 17 seasons.
Just an extension of, I think, a very successful co-op. Matter of fact, we got two kids going, one from the St. Mary Springs Academy, and then Doug's son in middle school in 8th grade, or 7th grade, I think Andrew's in 7th grade. They're going to state on Friday.
Oh, nice.
Saturday. So middle school, we've had a lot of good success. Our wrestling program's definitely on the upswing, and a lot of it has to do with that co-op we have with Springs. Also, just be aware that we might be looking at extending an offering to Oakfield also. There was always a conflict with the coach there that's no longer there because their kid left, and if we could get that'd be something that might even make us stronger. So,
I'll make that motion. I'll second that. Second by Mr. Chisholm.
Is Doug okay with it? I would
Loves
assume
it.
Okay.
Loves it.
Just lots of numbers.
Yep, and Ken, and it's been great. You know, Doug has evolved. He really has, and he's really embracing this stuff. He moved to the district, and he's, you know, a lot of some of the anxieties that he had, he's really embracing things and going for it. So.
All right. See no other questions, roll call?
Duffy?
Yes.
Chisholm?
Yes.
Golowski,
Yes.
Hawk, yes, and Pilar.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Right. Next item is discuss and consider Sunday, June 5th, 2016, for the graduation of the class of 2016.
All right, this, Samantha put out information, there really wasn't anything huge, either way. I know the board has set a kind of like an unwritten, but kind of a precedent, says let's do it the first, except for this year since it's a little different, but the first Sunday in June. I think when seniors found out that that doesn't mean we'll be there for that week of school, so the seniors will actually be done the Friday before Memorial Day, and then everybody else will come back the Tuesday after from Memorial Day through that Friday, and then the seniors will just come back on that Friday, where they'll do practice, and then graduation will be on the 5th.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Pilar. I'll second.
And then this is a one-time thing, so that'll end any surveys or asking.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Good.
We should be good for the next 4 years after that. Everything should be pretty much,
Fall in line.
yep.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, roll call?
Pilar,
Yes.
Duffy,
Yes.
Golowski,
Yes.
Hawk, yes, and Chisholm.
Yes.
Carried.
All right, item number 3, discuss and consider resignation of Anthony Rasmussen, freshman boys basketball.
That's actually a package deal. His dad too was there, Well, his dad let Anthony think he was in charge, so that was really cool. But Anthony he's a very accomplished referee, and he's gonna go back to doing that for a while. Pretty much knew him and his father would be here for a few years, and I'm sure Chris is on top of that looking and see what's going on out there, so. Just does a great job still helping with football, still helping and doing all the plays and stuff, so.
It is, it's really good, and I told some of the guys, told Anthony, no, I'm not gonna vote for you to resign. He did a nice job, and Bruce, for a guy that lives down in Grafton, that guy is amazing.
That's
couples-
everything.
Yeah, couple speeding ticks later, sorry. And white knuckling on practices going home. This guy would text Coach Saber, relentlessly, he's like, do you work during the day? Bruce, you can laugh, because I know, what a great rapport with the kids, both him and Anthony, great. Sorely missed, great for the program. Did very well this year with the kids, so. Bruce and Anthony, you'll be sorely missed, and thank you for your time that you put in.
Cool. Excellent.
All right, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call.
Duffy,
Yes.
Golowski,
Yes.
Hawk, yes, Pilar,
Yes.
and Chisholm.
Yes, with regrets.
Yes.
Oh,
All right. Item number 4, discuss and consider contract for Elizabeth Flaherty, a school psychologist.
I think we found ourselves a great psychologist. A 4-year veteran of being a school psychologist at Little Chute. I sent you all the information, her letters of recommendation, also her resume, that her contract's gonna be for 201 days. So she'll be able to give us a little bit more time. Very excited to have Liz come and serve our kids. Deb, you have anything else that you want to add?
I agree. We just got to keep her here. We're fortunate because there's so many districts looking not just for one school site, but like Fondy's looking for 2 and the bigger ones. So the competition out there was really, something else. And so we're really, really excited. She's going to bring energy. She's got a lot of background in mental health. She's got a lot of background in the RTI process. Little side note about her, she has had her own business since, 13, I think we heard. She's a water ski instructor.
Barefoot,
Grew up,
world
and
class.
the whole family was education, and this year she's competing barefoot as a competitor too, up
Worlds.
in nationals. So, yeah, pretty cool. So, really, really neat. We're excited.
Father is a principal in Seymour.
In Seymour, mom
then-
was a school nurse.
Yep, her uncle is, she's got triplets for uncles. One of them's, I worked with him at Manitowoc. He's a human resources guy in Sheboygan. Everybody called raved about her. Doing a great job.
When does it start, in the fall or?
July 1st.
Okay.
And the reason I had this is that I want to make sure that we got her under contract. So July 1st, she might, like she said about those 10-day, some might start earlier than later. She's gonna come in. Dr. Roop has been nothing but accommodating, helpful. Matter of fact, I think that group's the one who sold the district on her. I said, do you have any other questions or you need anything? And she goes, well, about that, the psychologist, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll call Dr. Roop, what's your number, she'll call you. And Dr. Roop gave her a call and talked to her about the district. So, and her telling us really just, the timing couldn't have been better. And also thank you to Debbie for her work going and recruiting. I mean, we went out there and recruited to try to put our district out there to try to find somebody. I think all that stuff paid off.
What swung her to our little district if there's so much competition out there?
You know, it was kind of like an NFL draft down there. We were at the Kalahar, it was crazy, and you had, 50 interns, psych, majors, some are just fresh out of school, some are needing that mentor. And you had booths and tables set up, and you didn't come down till the interview time, but they could come around and gather an information sheet, and everybody had like candy or little sales things, but yeah,
Not
an
us.
information sheet, and then
We had the Oriole head.
Owen's head was down there.
And anybody who came back and did an interview, we gave them a staff t-shirt, regardless if they were gonna be hired or not, so that they have that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think we had 7 or 8 come back
Yes.
and talk, but they had to take turns, and so they had 15 minutes to quickly pick a district, sign up, but, they were,
She has a significant friend that's living in Berlin,
yeah.
so that's where she's moving, and this is closer for her. So I think there was, like Dan said, there's a geographical area, and we fit into that, which was nice, so. But, yeah.
We come down and visit on a couple of her early releases and meet staff and work with Jan a little bit.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Wheelock,
One second.
second by Mr. Chisholm. Any further questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Pilat.
Yes.
Chisholm.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Palafny. Yes, motion carried.
And I will make the motion to adjourn
Ah.
at 8:31.
Did somebody get that?
I'll second.
Yes, there you go. All right.
And if you would have had 9 years, you could have made that motion first.
I'm okay with this.
All right.
All right, Mr. Duffy.
Yes.
Last time. Mr. Pilat.
Yes.
Mr.
We have no
Chisholm.
special
Yes.
ones.
Ms. Gladowski.
That's really on
Yes.
the behavior of the students.
Yes, good.
Open that. We'll do everything we can to not
So
find
no
that.
special ones, please.
We have no searches coming up.
Get lucky.
Ones that are behavior should be fine.
Excellent. Excellent.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Hey, and then, the sweatshirt on the different sides of the.
Yeah, have a good way.
Thank you very much.
Can't complain.
I'll see you Friday morning. All right, that's it.
We're coaching stuff.